welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, buddy?
Tired. Jesus, Nick, did we ever have a great weekend of professional wrestling? I felt like maybe I took a bump. How about you?
Yeah, look, we talked about that a little bit on yesterday's Tapped In, man. I was like, dude, these triple headers, man, when we do Friday, Saturdays, and Sunday shows, man, they will wear you out, those miles in the cars. Yeah. My heart goes out to the boys that are not only making those drives every week, but also taking the bumps in between. I can't even imagine.
Taking some bumps and getting busted open. How about that first blood match last night? I don't mean to get into the other show's territory, but I saw some cool stuff this weekend. Old Donald Jakes getting busted open. I was so proud of him. Gone from just a little reporter for Georgia wrestling history to a world famous busted open manager right there in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, he had a rough weekend, man. We talked about it a little bit. He got arrested and he got busted open in one weekend. Like, dude, that's a bad weekend. So it's kind of like getting in a fight, getting beat up, and then getting arrested for being in the fight. But it was just happened to be on two different shows. So poor guy, it's tough. But
y'all got to watch Georgia wrestling. If you got, y'all got to watch this stuff.
Yeah, and listen, man, we tell you, if you are, the best place right now is patreon.com/tappedoutpod, because not only do we do the Tapped In Indie show here on the YouTube channel, but it's also there as well. But then we've kind of added the new format. We've changed over this week where the 5-star indie guide, where we cover the indie rewind and the Making the Drive segments, are now exclusive to Patreon, free. We want to clarify, it is free. For a free membership, you do get it at patreon.com/tappedoutpod. That is still there, but it is not on the YouTube channel, tappedoutpod.com. Look, the main shows are still here. The Tapped In show, the Tapped Out show, bam, they are here every week on YouTube, every single week. But lots of new stuff. We've gotten into the territory now of more free content coming that we're going to do. We've got some people, again, starting to talk about writing again. Doing some articles that may be free.
I've been wanting to do some of those.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff, man. Look, and that's why you want to be a member over Patreon. But again, because if you want to talk about that Georgia indie stuff, that's where we go a little more in depth, every week and talk about what's going on behind the scenes.
And how much does it cost me?
It is free. You just
how do I do that? How do I join this?
Go to patreon.com/tappedouts pod and just sign up for a free
you got to get a Patreon membership, become a Patreon person, and then go over there and find Tapped Out. Oh man, that sounds easy. That sounds super easy, folks. You can do that.
Yeah, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. I don't think I can say it enough, right? It's that simple. It'll go straight to our page, and then you just sign up for the free membership and bam. And yes, folks, it is super simple on your phone if you get the app, you can hit plus, add it to your podcast feed, add it to Spotify podcast, boom, and you're done. If you're at the free level, it's there. Now, you'll get teases. You'll see the stuff that we put out that's behind the paywall. So you might be like, hey, it might be worth signing up for. So, and we've teased the fact that, look, from time to time, we might run exclusive offers to the free members. We're like, hey, you can get a first month at half off. We might say, hey, try the first month for free. Stuff like that. So there's going to be a reason to be a free member, sign up. That's
some of that stuff is so exclusive. I don't even know it's coming out until I get the notification. Okay. I got a notification the other day. I'm like, man, I just heard about that. I didn't even know that was going on. Let me go look at Facebook and see what that is.
Yeah.
Research. Gotta love it. But man, I'm telling you, we're wrapping up the year. Try not to get out of line with all this stuff we got to talk about today. But have we seen the last? We've seen the last Smackdown of 2024. Have we seen the last Raw? Technically, yes or no? Which one?
No, there's one tonight. Well, it depends on what time. Yeah.
Tonight, but we're recording. We got kayfabe in our recording. So this will be before. We're recording before, but tonight's Raw will be the last one of 2024. And the last one, not on Netflix.
Correct. And listen, we're going to get into a little Netflix conversation here later, but I do want to point out, because of the timelines, people are going to be thrown off. We are recording prior to Raw, prior to Dino, all of that stuff. We're recording on a Monday for a change, and that if you know why. We're not going to get into why, but we are recording because of because of just the circumstances, so it has to be done today. But yes, end of the year, awards abound. We're in that time of the season where everybody's giving out their awards. And Myron,
I don't agree with them, but let's just start talking about them.
ESPN. Look, Sports Illustrated's doing them. All these people. We like, hey, I'm a big sports guy, so ESPN. I was like, wait a minute, what? Who at ESPN is doing
this?
These
is sports
lists?
Entertainment, Nick.
Yeah.
Or this sports?
Well, depends who you ask. Some it's pro wrestling, some it's sports entertainment. There's two different things out there. But here's the thing:
sports websites. Oh man. So Wrestler of the Year, Nick. I really enjoy who they picked. This is the one I would have probably picked.
It wasn't my choice, but Gunther being their Wrestler of the Year, I'm like, here. I almost did a triple pun there. I almost went, full disclosure, we always argue about like these lists, right? Like as far as like everybody's going to complain, like, hey, that's what lists are, by the way, and that's what awards are. In my opinion, and it's such a subjective world like pro wrestling, awards are like lists. People are always going to argue about them, and they're going to. And generally, there's a case to be made. When you pick Gunther as your Wrestler of the Year, my take is simply that. I wouldn't have picked him, but I'm not saying you can't make an argument for Gunther. It's not like they picked. I'm trying to think, just to pick a random. They didn't pick Austin Theory to be Wrestler of the Year. No offense to Austin Theory, but he wasn't Wrestler of the Year. I'd have had a problem with that. But you picked Gunther. It's okay.
Yeah. I think he was legitimately Wrestler of the Year. He did just about everything he possibly could have done. And he is phenomenally good in the ring, phenomenally good on the mic. Just an absolute heel. Got that massive match in Saudi Arabia. Where would you have gone with this? Would you have gone with Cody?
Probably. I just think with, finishing the story, he won the Rumble, he's had his defenses along the way, blah, 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 blah. You could, like, that's my point. You could make the case, right? If you had told me Cody, I wouldn't have argued either.
Oh, I wouldn't have blinked if you just said Cody Rhodes. I wouldn't have blinked. Cody Rhodes, Gunther, there might have been one or two others you could have done. And no, maybe no, those two. Those two would have been the only ones you could have done that would have made me question you at all. Women's, though, I think the women ones, I'm a huge Roxanne Perez fan. I think she is the future of women's professional wrestling. The Prodigy is the greatest name for her. Toni Storm, though, Toni Storm's been on the main program for AEW. Not a fan of that gimmick, but that gimmick was super over for them.
So what's your take, real quick, in this? Because, we discussed this. We literally discussed this on yesterday's episode. They've reverted Toni Storm back to her old, like, the one. But it's because she's got a bump, she had a bump on the head, and now she's back to Toni Storm. Yeah. She's not timeless Toni Storm. What I love about the unique concept that we talked about, it's because of how they moved her to her other one. It's kind of like the bump on the head thing.
Yeah.
They're never saying that the timeless one couldn't come back. Now, they're not saying they will come back. Dude, I love it. This is straight out of the Christian Taylor book of the Lumberjack. How can you like one? How can you not like one and not like the other one, right? That's it's kind of very similar.
But I still believe Liv Morgan is Women's Wrestler of the Year. And I really do believe Liv Morgan she's actually become a very good wrestler.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And she sells this. Does merch sales figure into this? People want to look at stuff like, well, did they draw money? Did they do stuff like? Okay, none of these people draw money like Gunther did. And you can't tell me Toni Storm drew. I mean, Toni Storm didn't get the ratings Roxanne Perez did, and she sure as hell didn't do anything like Liv Morgan did. Okay, she didn't do anything like Rhea Ripley did. We're not gonna. This is subjective. You can't compare this stuff because your criteria changes so rapidly. This is an emotional choice for people.
Well,
if it was up to me, none of these AEW people would be on this list at all because they made no impact on the professional wrestling business by ticket sales, by draw wise. Now they may have had the best match of the year. But if a fraction of the people saw that match, does it matter as much?
Well, hold on. Let's push back a little bit then. By your logic, then, nobody in AEW should be up for any award. other than match of the year.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. Even if what do you consider match of the year? Do you consider a match at WrestleMania that everyone watched, even if it was not a 5-star match?
So then you would say none of them.
Wouldn't the most dominant wrestling company be the one that should have all the awards?
No, because I could argue feud of the year could have happened anywhere if it was written the best. Because is it the best written? Because I'm about to do something, right? You know it's coming.
I know. I'm setting you up for it. I've done this before.
Yeah.
You're going to turn this shit on me and make me feel bad about myself.
Because here's the argument. By that said, then let's go. If you take that to a smaller scale, then there are certain promotions locally that we were like, okay, well, they're not even consideration for anything. Who did he actually manage for? He didn't. He's small. Yeah, he doesn't count either. So basically, like if we took that to a Georgia level, that logic, then basically it's only the ones who draw the most count. So none of these other people on the lower part. Like feud of the year is storytelling. Like feud of the year, like it's not necessarily who sold just the most tickets, because that feud could take place in a smaller show. So I'm like AEW, by that logic, you would argue, okay, so they are at least up for that one. But like debut of the year, Jacob Fatu. Like, okay, by the way, I totally might be down for that. That might be one that I'm like,
okay.
I'm
down with that. Yeah,
but
I could go with that.
If you had a super cool debut, is it the debut or is it what they do after? Because that argument might be, okay, well, Will Ospreay had a great debut at AEW. Do I agree with how everything's happened since then? Maybe not.
No.
But that doesn't change that maybe his debut was the best.
May have been could be. How many losses does he have since he's the greatest wrestler in the world? How many times have they been booked in for losses?
Wins and losses don't matter in wrestling.
Okay.
Because don't we always preach you can get over without going over?
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
Now they matter. I think they matter, but they're not the end all be all. But same argument can be made. Like, here's the one that I'll shock you: Breakthrough Wrestler of the Year, Swerve Strickland. Who was it?
Braun Breaker.
Wasn't he actually the year before though? That's the problem.
Braun Breaker. You could probably give Braun Breaker. I mean, I would make 2 or 3 more awards for Braun Breaker. That's just the way I look at it. He's that good.
The only reason I push back a little, and I'm not saying you're wrong. If you told me it was Braun Breaker, I wouldn't fight you about it. But the reason I agree with the Swerve Strickland pick is because he essentially went from way down to basically the crowd look, as small as it may be, the crowd forced them to push him to the top, and they made him a world champion. He wasn't the Intercontinental Champion. He became the world champion. Again, AEW, so be it. If you take that aside, he went from basically like he was going to be I think they thought he was going to be a mid-card guy to a world champion, and the crowd was totally with him always. They still are, by the way. They're still with him. They're still dancing. They're still chanting. They're doing the thing. Braun Breaker, yes, but he's the Intercontinental Champion. By the way, I'm telling you, I'm not arguing with you, because if you told me it was Braun Breaker, I wouldn't have argued with you. I'd have been like, cool, okay, I'm okay with that too. I just understand the Swerve Strickland moves. All I'm saying, I understand.
I get what you're saying. I just think the ceiling for Braun Breaker to break through was higher than the ceiling for Swerve Strickland, because Swerve Strickland, and I'm not this is where I'm coming back, and I'm trying not to disparage AEW, but it's a startup company still. And WWE has what? How many years of tradition behind that Intercontinental title? He took it off Sami Zayn, who took it off Gunther. I mean, it's a traditional thing.
But there was a lot of crap on that belt for a while. What I admire about what they're doing, they're restoring that belt to what it once was, because there was a gap there in the middle where I was like, dude, this is not good. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. I will give you that. If you told me that's why they deserve it, hey, I'll give you that. He is helping restore that Intercontinental title to a good place where it once was. I will say that 100%. You are correct.
I mean, it's one of those titles now that you traditionally you're not going to see that big title all the time, except a guy holding it on a show. But you got a good chance to see an Intercontinental title match every time you turn television on for a WWE show, and I like that. And he's an active fighting champion. I like that. He's a super athlete. He's the future of professional wrestling. So Swerve, older guy. I mean, what is he? 30s?
Oh, I don't know his age. I'm not even going to lie. I have no idea how old he is. But I mean, but look, I get it. It's just back to that thing we're arguing about, like subjective stuff where I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not even arguing either pick. I'm like, hey, that's fine. Best promo. Listen, we're not going to hang on a lot of these last couple categories. I wouldn't argue at the least with this one. Drew McIntyre's game is elevated like tenfold on the promos.
Yeah, the only person you could flip this for would be CM Punk, in my opinion.
I don't even know that I would. That's what I'm saying. I don't.
I mean,
because he missed so much time. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah, he's killed it he has totally killed it on promos this year. But look at tag team of the year. You know, tag team of the year was given to the team that was just a tag team. I mean, they're a great tag team, but who else is a tag team? Who else works as a tag team? I mean, the Usos.
But they didn't.
No, didn't really work as a tag team.
Women's
tag teams. The women work as tag teams more consistently than men work as tag teams in WB currently.
They're doing better. I'll give them credit. Triple H is trying. They're bringing, whatever they're called, the War Raiders are a team. Obviously, Gable's got the Creed brothers. You've got there's out there. I mean, there is I'm trying to say like because Finn and them where they were champions. That's not the case anymore. But yeah, I think they're doing a better attempt at trying to make real legit tag teams, and that's kind of cool.
I like those guys. I don't know where their future is though with WWE for a guy with a mask and a smaller guy. I don't know what that's going to hold, but they're a really good tag team, and they're consistently a tag team, even though they've been doing stuff separated throughout the show.
So here's one of the categories we got to get rolling here is match of the year. I always tell people, I think this is probably absolutely the most subjective of subjective awards or lists that are ever created. Because here's the thing, I saw this match. Make a case, I couldn't argue with you. The match was that good. But at the same time, it's like, by the way, you can't argue with one that, because when you talk about crowd sizes, like all in Wembley. Like it did draw. So I mean, I'm saying like. So my argument is like it was technical. It was good. It was a good match. It was in a big venue. It was a big crowd. Okay, awesome. But if you're a fan of more spectacle, then you probably liked Cody and Roman.
Yeah, it happened at WrestleMania.
You could make a case for insert any other really good match. Some
Drew
people argue.
Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this is the most. I don't know that there's ever a category that I fight the least about than this. Like match of the year, I'm like, because it fit what you like the best. I mean, like that's what you were looking for.
It's your style. Yeah.
Yeah, there is anyway, so that one I'm not even going to best pay-per-view of the year. Well, it's not even a pay-per-view, it's a PLE, but whatever. Nobody's paying for these shows anymore, WrestleManias and stuff. So tomato. Yeah. I mean, but are we talking top to bottom, or are we talking like did we like it because of the two main events we got? Experience. By the way, it was 2 nights. Experience. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
it's like a holiday. I mean, it's the only holiday I really enjoy besides WrestleCade. Hold on, those are my 2 holidays. Oh, don't let me forget Royal Rumble.
Right.
Oh, I don't celebrate Christmas or Thanksgiving.
I mean,
but I like these. I like the 2-night pay-per-views, man. I really love the 2-night PLEs.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's clearly like we're going to get more of this. This is like not a thing of the past. Like this is going to be a regular thing. And look, we've already got Mania at 2. They've already booked some SummerSlams in the future that are going to be 2. We've heard the grumblings of the Rumble being 2. Now this week the stories come out like, hey, they're seriously considering making Money in the Bank 2 nights.
No,
I disagree. I 100% think so. the ones that I think are 2 nights are real simple. I think it's got to be something. Back up. That's not what I'm saying. I think the ones that are easier to justify are the ones that when you have like the Rumble, Money in the Bank, those type of things where you got like a men's and a women's specifically. Elimination chambers, war games. If you like, I hate it when they feel like, hey, we're having a Hell in a Cell, so we're gonna have a women's one. I know they didn't, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. When they do that type of thing, like then you've got one earlier in the night, one later in the night. Like, nah, it kind of loses its luster. War games, the women's one gets lost. Like, my argument is this: why did you need a women's war games? You didn't. Just because it's hanging there doesn't mean you need to do one for the women too. Just make it the main event for the men, right? Like, it's that simple. But if you're going to give me a Rumble where there's a men, there's a women's, there's going to be a Money in the Bank or whatever. All right, give me the 2 nights, and you make the women headline one night and the men another. And by the way, whichever story's hotter at the time, that's the one that gets the second,
or the first. What is it? What is the night now, Nick? Is it a Saturday night's the big night, or is it Sunday night's the big night? Where would you put your bigger matches, Saturday or Sunday night?
Me personally, it just kind of depends on the scheduling of the weekend.
Yeah. Indie shows are going to have to watch themselves.
Yeah, luckily that we're going to be able to watch it. We watch the PLEs after the fact anyway, so it doesn't matter, unless it's a super big one. So I just think in the grand scheme of things, I mean, the 2 night thing, whatever. Here's the thing: if the cities are paying enough money, and you're getting those site fees or whatever they want to call it, take the money and do both nights. You're already there. Just sell 2 buildings.
How about Saudi? I mean, they give them more money than anybody.
Yeah.
Give them I mean, it's just a matter of time before you get a huge Saudi thing if they're going to do that.
So my question more is becoming, when is a like the King of the Ring was there, Queen of the Ring event was there, whatever. When are we're going to off topic a little bit here, but when do they get just a PLE there in Saudi?
They'll get a big four eventually.
Here's my answer. You know what? I don't think so.
You don't think they'll get a big four?
No. Somebody asked me this the other day, and I said, I just don't think they get anything big.
Oh, disagree.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
So you already know you're getting $50 million every time you go there. It's a given. So you're going to give up one of the big 4. You could run somewhere else and kill it and make a bunch of money and move it into a house that why would you move a big show, a big draw into a spot that's it's not really going to help you that much?
What if the guy came off for enough money to make it worthwhile?
Okay, that's a different case. If we're hey, we're talking something different.
Yeah, who thought we'd be seeing wrestling in Saudi Arabia?
Right,
a big event. So you never know what we're getting. You never know.
If you're telling me if you make more you make more having WrestleMania in Philadelphia and still running your Saudi show than taking that WrestleMania and then going hey, yeah, we might make a little more money over there, but we're going to give up. And then instead of running, we're going to run a random pay-per-view or a random PLE in Philadelphia. You ain't going to make the same amount of money. So I think if it were me, I would, I don't know, what do I know? I don't again, but if they chalked it up and said, hey, we'll pay you $100 million to bring WrestleMania to Saudi, well, guess what's going to happen?
They're going to go to Saudi.
They're going to run the numbers and find out, is it worth doing it?
Yeah. And the city, the whole things we were talking about where you said site fees where the cities pay to have them come in, that is in the States, that is the coolest thing. It's almost like the tax write-offs and everything like that. Guys, this is a whole nother level. Do you think indie promotions ever reach a date where the cities will be giving them concessions to one, not like hot dogs and stuff. I mean, like tax breaks or
they already do. They already get all that stuff. That's what I'm saying. It's like, hey, now they probably got to pay the venue because it's the county or the state, giving them all of the stuff to come in. So, again, back to the original point. That's also why the 2-night thing works. Is because if they're giving you a big check, because the cities see 2 nights, the economic boost of 2 nights. They see all of that stuff, and they're like, because if you do 2-night events, guess what? With 1-night event, most weirdos don't do this, but you could theoretically fly in, watch the PLE, and fly home. If you do it 2 nights, guess what you can't do? You got to fly in, you have to get a hotel, and then you're going to be so tired because it was 2 nights, you're probably going to get a hotel the next night. So it's generating. That's kind of why they do these things. So
you're going to make you're going to make a trip out of it. You got to take a vacation day.
Yeah. But look, while we're on the paper, let's.
We're on the WrestleMania topic.
We're discussing a little WrestleMania, and this week a story broke out. So the story kind of came out this week, true or not. It is what it is. John Cena, there was a rumor that a WrestleMania potential opponent was brought up and apparently was really not received well in the backstage area. That name was Logan Paul.
Now, I don't think this would be received well in a lot of areas. Are they trying to... Now, if they're trying to improve Logan Paul's image, this would be the guy to put him with. Cena is the best at this kind of stuff. Cena is the perfect guy for this kind of stuff. But why would you use Logan Paul and Cena? You want a really big heel to go against your guy, though? You want a super jerk to go against John Cena? To put John Cena up, this is your guy for that.
That would be every year there's a, hey, let's bring casual eyes, to WrestleMania.
Well,
That's a good one. That's a good one. Now, listen, by the way, we've mentioned in the past, I wasn't opposed to this match.
It'd be a good match.
I think, here's what I think. Imagine the promo battles going back and forth leading up to that show. The trash talk of Logan Paul on his podcast. Trashing John Cena.
And the media availability and John Cena, like, on a movie set somewhere, stopping to say something about him.
How about the news that came out that John Cena has cleared 2025 and he's actually going to be a full-time WWE wrestler? He's not doing movies. He's not doing stuff. He has cleared 2025's calendar to be a WWE wrestler.
Peacemaker is finished for the year? They're
finished filming it. It'll be in post, whatever. He might have to randomly go out and do maybe like a press thing, or whatever, like a premiere for it or something. But as far as like filming and that kind of stuff, supposedly, again, whether any of that's true, like don't let the facts ruin a good story. But yeah, I mean, it's literally like so. But imagine the press that you could do with Logan Paul and John Cena out around hyping a match at WrestleMania. Look, I was a fan of it. Clearly, that apparently has been. Now, they're not saying it's off the table, but it clearly has not been received very well. So that led us to the question, Myron. If not Logan Paul, and I think we've kind of mentioned this before, but who should it be?
Well, you came up with a list of a potential list of people. But none of them are.
One of those names is for you.
Literally,
yeah, that was
literally. Does John Cena not have an Intercontinental title?
John Cena has never won the Intercontinental Champion. He was the U.S. champion that vaulted him to his title, and then he never went back. You know what I'm saying? He did win the U.S. again late, but that was a whole other, when he came back way later. But, like, literally, like, he's never been the Intercontinental Champion.
At Mania. Well, you want to make this kid. You want to put the final stamp on this breaker kid.
Or do you want to put the polish on John Cena's career and make sure he's a Grand Slam champion? He's won the Intercontinental Championship.
Well, it doesn't matter if he beats Breaker. It's still going to make Breaker look like $1 million.
Right.
John Cena.
Because wins and losses don't matter, right?
But it's John Cena wins and losses.
I know.
Okay? It's not flippy shit. This is John Cena going out there and making somebody a star. It's John Cena putting eyes on somebody. That's how things...
I do think it would be a cool one. Like I said, it would be a cool thing. But... Or we're going to jump around on our list.
We could see just how good Breaker's promos are.
I think more importantly, what I would like to, I'm curiosity here. If the Rock, Roman, Punk, Solo pieces are all in a blur there, we don't know what's happening at that top level there. My question becomes, what about Cody? Because he's got to be done with Kevin Owens at this point.
By Mania?
By Mania, he's got to be done.
Yeah, I hope so.
So
I mean, I love the story, but I hope it's done by Mania.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be. I would think. It's got to be. Got to be done by Mania. Well, I shouldn't say got to be. It theoretically should be. So then it leads me to ask the question, why not Cody Rhodes and John Cena? And I'm going to give you a couple reasons why. If you're ever going to give me a babyface versus babyface, title match, look, it's all the stakes of John Cena trying to break Ric Flair's record and become the 17-time world champion. And to do it, he wants to beat the best. He wants to beat the man. He wants to beat the current face of WWE, Cody Rhodes. Because he's not. No offense. Or is he? Or is he going to challenge Gunther?
I'm still laughing about what Ric Flair said to that midget in my head when we were in Winston-Salem. But sorry.
So
think
about it.
Sometimes.
Who would you?
That's a draw. That's a massive, massive, massive draw. But it's a babyface. You would have to frame it very carefully.
Or we're hearing the grumblings and we're hearing the rumblings. Would it be time to flip Cody? Is that how you get to heel Cody to get babyface John Cena versus heel Cody? I don't think it is, by the way. Give me baby, and I'm happy. TapTapPod@gmail.com. Would you flip Cody to have that match? Would you flip him at some point?
No. And also, if you do that, you have to bring out Ric Flair. And I think it would be much better to wait till after. This is just my opinion. To wait till after Flair is done, is passed away, before you do this, because Flair's just going to make an ass out of himself if you break.
But look, John Cena's 20. He's only in 2025. If you're going to do it, it's next year. It's got to happen. Now, I would make the case for there is a lot to be said. Now, listen clearly. Why not Gunther be the one that he chases?
That's a good
John
one.
Cena.
But
they clearly look like they're trying to turn him babyface. So that's, even like slowly turning. Who knows? Maybe it's SummerSlam, and they make that decision is at SummerSlam with whoever's the champion at the time at SummerSlam.
Yeah, Punk's going to be booked. Punk's going to be in in some kind of program.
We're hearing Punk potentially is going to pull the trigger on Roman. Like he wants Roman at Mania, which is a weird thing. The favor, exactly. That's where they're heading potentially. But look, if not, let's say Punk is free. What if the favor is I want John Cena, which I don't think that makes any sense. But if he doesn't get the favor, I think he gets a title shot. That's just me personally. Whatever. Hey, did you see, last but not least, how we get here to WrestleMania, that the way The Rock enters the Rumble at 31, because he uses his TKO power, his executive powers, and he wins as 31. Like, let's say there's 30. They eliminate the last guy. He thinks he's won. And then The Rock's music, and it's like, and the 31st entrant, he comes out, and he's only got to eliminate the one guy, tosses him out, and he's the number. He gets the WrestleMania.
How about Cena and Rock at WrestleMania?
We've been to that dance. We've done it. I don't think we need it again. I don't think we pull that one back again. I think that's we would love. Who do you think? TapTapPod@gmail.com. Who would you pick? Obviously the Logan Paul thing's out. Would it be Cody? Would it be? We didn't even mention Randy Orton for old time's sake.
31 in the Royal.
Yeah. So but that's WrestleMania. But the nearer thing that we said we were coming back to Netflix, Myron. We said we were going to get back there again. So here we are. The conversation.
I saw the logo pop up. Melissa was watching. She went to log on to watch that. Call the Midwife, which she watches. She's watched more than I've watched Clone Wars, start to finish. She just restarts it. It's on all the time. It's horrible. Just babies everywhere, and women and babies everywhere.
They ran the commercial. They ran the ad,
and there it was, right there at the top of the Netflix thing. Yep. So I'm fascinated, folks. Now we found out, Nick, my main fear, I thought for a second that the replay would not be immediate in case I miss it and don't watch it live. I can watch it immediately afterwards. I thought I was going to have to wait 48 hours.
Look, if it's going to be available immediately, that's awesome. I think we're all excited about that. But the question became, does that change? Like, because look, the old thing is like, this is the week we were like all pumped and excited for. Again, recording out of time frame. So if my tenses are off, like forgive me. So
Jeff Mooney wrote this episode.
Raw on Netflix. AEW's moving to Max, obviously simulcast it, whatever. So it's like the question that we asked was, is this the end of the ratings era? And what you talked about there is going to play a role into that. Let's start with because it's going to be some deeper stuff in the Raw on Netflix. But let me start with the AEW Max conversation. Do we see a drop in viewership on TBS, TNT for Collision and Dynamite and all those things? The obvious. Listen, and I say this with all due respect. The hater answer is probably, oh yeah, they're going to drop or whatever. What if they don't? What if they lose like 20,000 people? Is that a win? That's a win for them, right?
It's a massive win. Massive win.
Assuming that's all picked up.
Give us a percent. Give us a fraction. Just look. Okay, let's just say they're doing for ease of, and I know they're not doing this much, but just for math for Myron, 750,000. Okay. If next week they drop from a third to 500,000 and everybody else is watching it on Max and Max is happy and TBS and them are happy, no big deal. Now, if they drop to 150,000 on Max, that to me shows everybody just went over. Sorry, 150,000 on TBS,
TNT.
It just shows everybody went over to Max. There's no way to judge this because these people aren't going to release these numbers unless these numbers go over 1 million. Unless you see over 1 million, you're not going to see. I think it's a
win. I think if the data shows a win,
yes,
you're going to hear those numbers, and I think that's it. Like, because this kind of leads us into the conversation about the Raw stuff. We were like, hey, will Netflix release the numbers for Raw? Like, are we going to get that? And they're like, because they probably, listen here, they probably will, but they don't have to in the sense of the word. But clearly we learned over the Christmas break that if they get a big number, they're going to let you know. Like those NFL games, by the way, friend of the show was like, oh, they're not going to do well. The games were terrible, blah, blah, blah. Well, as a crazy old man says sometimes, not so fast, my friend. It was 24.3 million with the Ravens and Texans, 24.1 was the Chiefs. Here's something that I never, like, it's the crazy one. I want to ask you this. Did we I get it. We're streamers, both of us. We're streamers. We're not traditional cable people anymore. Mm-hmm. It was the wildest thing for me to ask this question. Have we underestimated the power of Netflix's volume and subscribers? Like, would we be like, to see those numbers compared to what football games do on regular television? I was sitting here wondering, going, this is not a prediction. This is a question. taptapod@gmail.com. Would you be stunned if Raw you were told 2 million people watched it on Netflix or 3 million?
Hold on. I just had a thought.
The reason I'm asking that question is the question was the gamble. Could it pay off? And we've completely, is there just so many people like look, Heath openly says, like, he doesn't have cable. He doesn't have, like, he's going to pick up AEW and Raw coverage. That's the reason why we cover the indies, right? More than, but it's like, he's getting, because he's a streamer, he's literally gaining 2 new shows that he gets to watch versus actually having like somebody make a choice. No, they're gaining a viewer out of Heath for Raw and for, Dynamite and Collision.
It's just based on looking from the numbers I'm seeing. The population growth and the amount of people that subscribe to cable television, it's ridiculous. It's just holy crap.
But you see what I'm saying, right? Like my
Yeah,
point
pay
is,
pay television subscriptions are just plummeting. And so people streaming, it might have a new, like, just like Heath. It could be a whole new audience of wrestling fans that haven't watched wrestling, have just been watching the networks. Imagine people who've just been watching the PLEs or
right?
just
We have
or
Peacock, so
Netflix or not sorry, not, or WE webpage or YouTube videos or things like that.
Look, we know there's an audience, Myron. We know there's an audience who just watches the PLEs on Peacock because they have Peacock because their wife watches SVU or whatever, one of those other random shows on it. They have Peacock. They're streamers. Okay, well now, do you have Netflix? Yeah. Hey, did you know Raw's coming in there? Oh, I didn't know that. They're like, all right, well, I can casually watch Raw whenever I want to now. That's the availability. Like the streaming, we've always talked about is being able to watch on your own time. So that's the $1 million
That's
question.
the big thing too for most people.
Yeah. Well,
Is
now
your
the question
schedule.
is going to be, how's that going to count? If you watch that,
Well, Netflix is the expert on how to count that
no.
because that's their business.
I know they know how. That's not the question. Is the number that they release out, like they were talking like, hey, this is people that watch these NFL games live. So are they going to, like, do they brag if it's like, well, we don't like the live number, but we can say that watched it in the first 24 hours.
They'll give you the best
like
number, whatever it is. Whatever number they give you will be the number that's the best. Hell, they told you, I mean, what time Beyonce walked on stage, what time she shook her, waved to the crowd, they could give you a number live on that.
Correct.
I guarantee they're going to give you the best number on everything. It's going to help everybody, except people who do podcasts that are based on wrestling ratings. Those people won't have topics anymore. I'm glad we've tried to move away from that in the last 6 months or so, the last year, or actually more than that, the last year plus.
Yeah.
To move away from ratings because ratings are now absolutely invalid.
Well, look, they're gonna make arguments for, hey, SmackDown's on USA, CW's got it, NXT. So they're still going to try to make the cases, and I almost the prediction, people will still argue about it, and then they will make, if numbers are given out, they will try to consolidate Netflix and Max numbers, but if they don't give those numbers out, then they're going to go like, yes, hey, we're going to estimate.
There's no third party reporting numbers anymore. There's not a legitimate source for numbers. Whatever number is going to come from the people who broadcast this. This is a brand new field we're going into.
Yeah,
it's
pretty unique to say the sure, but look now. I'm wondering at times if AEW wishes this had happened a year ago. And the reason why we say that is, Dave Meltzer came out with a story that basically like, hey, Fox is no longer even remotely interested in a Shockwave show. That was the thing, was trademarked. Hey, Tony Khan threw it out there. They were getting a Fox show. Well, then they did the Fox out of Mexico. Everybody thought that was it. Maybe not. Who knows? But apparently, it's just a no.
Okay, well, there's a lot of things we didn't. Dave Meltzer may not have addressed that are actually words and businesses and numbers and dollars. Fox, the story that broke this week, Fox wasn't interested in WWE, the big price. No, somebody else outbid them for WWE. They weren't willing to pay what that other person was willing to pay to get SmackDown. So they didn't think it was worth that much money. So they didn't have a wrestling product. So somebody presented them with a wrestling product and they trademarked it like you would trademark something when you're presenting a package. Like here, this is our package for SmackDown. This is our, what do you call that? presentation. This is how we're going to present to you to sell you on this package for the show called Shockwave. We brought in all these great wrestlers. We brought in Dave Meltzer's favorite wrestlers. It hasn't helped ratings. We got this one good episode where we got 800,000 people when we showed the CM Punk footage. That's the best ratings we've done all year. We used to do they did 1 million. They used to do 1 million. And then it started dropping off. So you weren't interested in WWE that was drawing, what, 2.2
Well, hold on. Let's be fair. Because we specifically off air had a conversation about it wasn't a ratings issue. It was a ROI issue. It was going to cost too much for the viewership they were getting. I think, me personally, I was not shocked with the conversation that Fox might be interested in a Shockwave AEW product, because it might be, hey, you're going to get half the ratings, but you can get it for a fifth of the price or a fourth. Yeah. No, I mean, literally, like, I think it could have been a thing. I mean, because, like, hey, NXT got 50. Well, okay, well, if it was going for like 260, 280, you can get it for a fifth. Hey, will you buy the Shockwave show for 50?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe those dollars make sense. And so I think ultimately that was the problem. So I don't know that you can hand tie and say, well, hey, they're only getting 400. They got 580, I think it was last week, whatever. So, but I just think in the end that I think as the number potentially lowered, we've all talked about viewership across every platform, every show has declined. Raw, they were happy with a Raw that did 1.5 million.
Yeah, but NXT is beating Dynamite. And they gave $50 million for it. So why would you give $50 million for a program that's potentially going to do less than a program that's already? It just doesn't make any business sense to do that. I'd give you a little, but this isn't the era. Remember when we were kids, they'd have filler TV shows, like to fill airtime because they had to have something there. Like on Saturdays and Sundays where there was nothing on television. And when there was really, and they would put a show in there, people, or a rerun or something.
Now they just run syndicated, like Big Bangs, 2.5 Men, etc., whatever.
They've already bought the show. But this, I don't think this wrestling content is worth it. I think they would have been better off to buy MLW. They could have probably got it cheaper and done better or equally on the rating.
Yeah, but I think they wanted no disrespect to MLW. We love the product, but I think they wanted, sleek, well, like as far as high, they just think the production level is higher, which it is. To be fair, it's higher. The production level itself and what it looks like on TV is higher end on AEW than MLW. That doesn't mean anything against the actual wrestling product. That's just kind of
TNA got some of the WWE slots in Canada.
That's more and more to come. That's some stuff I'm looking forward to over the next few months. I think more and more internationally, we're going to see AEW and TNA picking up slots that are avoided out, like are left with a void because of the Netflix deal with WWE internationally specifically. Yeah. I think there's more to that than anything. But hey, that's just kind of the ratings. That's how they work. The other thought process was, look, they may not want Shockwave, but hey, what about Ring of Honor?
That would be a better deal is to get Ring of Honor, because Ring of Honor really has some exciting talent right now. Ring of Honor has some great guys. Carly Bravo. He was just amazing to watch yesterday. How about that? Got to see Carly Bravo defend his title. It's amazing the talent of wrestlers we get to see in Atlanta and the Georgia area. But Ring of Honor is a great brand. Maybe we could get more of that on television. I'd love, because what do you got to pay out for Honor Club to get it now?
Yeah, $9.99 a month. You get the streaming service. You do get their pay-per-views, etc., and stuff when they run those too. So
you get those for free by the
it's part of it. Yeah. So
that would be worth it probably.
Yeah. So, but look, I do wish they had make it more. I don't even know that I want to say it's make it more developmental. But if you were going to sell that Shockwave show, why is it not Ring of Honor Shockwave or some versus AEW? Well, that doesn't sell as well because they want the AEW letters that have the WDB deals, etc. Blah blah blah.
I thought they were going to make it AEW Ring of Honor. I thought Tony was going to brand it to make it more successful. Wasn't that
I
the
think
plan?
I think he always wants to make it the Ring of Honor brand. I mean, that's a complicated mess over there with that goes. But look, I think if you're going to try to make it more development, let's say that's what they're trying to attempt to do, is be more your NXT where people funnel through and come in. If they're not already a household name, they kind of feed through that system. I think it's really cool, by the way. Somebody asked me, like, why is Chris Jericho doing this Ring of Honor thing? Maybe he's going to go down to Ring, like, I don't mean down, but he's going to Ring of Honor. So we're going to crap on Chris Jericho doing the Ring of Honor thing, but we're okay with the Finn Balor's, the Becky Lynch's, and the, whatever going down to NXT. Like, no, you got to be, if it works for one, hey, why not try it for the other
Becky Lynch had the NXT women's belt for a while, held it, helped put over some talent, got people over, worked really well. It always works well when you bring WWE talent down there. Jericho down there is, to me, brilliant, because was he getting that much over with that learning tree gimmick? Was that learning tree gimmick any good? Was
loved it. I did like
it.
I did. Yeah, I did. Now he's doing this like Mr. New York thing because Ring of Honor New York, they did a Hammerstein Ball and whatever.
Yeah.
But I think effectively using guys, like, here's the other thing. We always complained about, I think there needs to be a redefined focus, a hard focus on Ring of Honor, because I'm tired of seeing Ring of Honor belts on AEW TV. There was already too many belts.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, let's figure out how. I don't know if it's a YouTube show. I don't know if it's, look, you don't even get me started on the X shows or anything like that. But look, give it a YouTube show. Try to get it on something. Get the product in front of people for free in some form or fashion. Not behind the Honor Club paywall, whatever. Because I think if you're already using like Jericho and Dustin and Sammy Guevara, it's like putting some of those titles on those and working some of those young kids or whatever. I think it's a great opportunity to basically make it your NXT. Because here's the problem. I know we say NXT is developmental, kinda. I think the day is coming sooner than later to where it's sort of developmental, but it's eventually going to become its own third brand, obviously, at this point.
But because hiring WWE releases and WWE malcontents that leave is not a sound business strategy. Okay. And hiring people from Japan and hiring people from other places, super indie stars. No, you really have to start developing your own talent there. You have to have AEW guys start to finish. And when you've got guys like QT and other guys like that are experts at training and can put guys together, that's what you need Ring of Honor to be doing. You need them to be developing your own talent that are like the NIL deals WWE has. The guys that you bring up through the system that are WWE blood, WWE raised all the way through, and that just makes you stronger. And I think it would make them stronger, and it would make them more branded.
I'm just coming from the aspect of it being NXT, where you can take those guys, you can use your Dustins, your Jerichos, your Sammys, and other vets or whatever that you bring down and can sprinkle them in there to help. Again, if you get it out enough in front of the public enough, that those guys become such a level, like they're a known name, that when they move over, it's not like, all right, we got to completely rebuild. Like, you do know there's an audience that you're going to kind of have to build them with, but they kind of have some equity built into them already, that when they make that jump to Dynamite or Collision or
whatever. If you're just going through YouTube and you see matches and it's like Chris Jericho versus X or X versus X, you're going to default to watch the Chris Jericho versus X match first because you recognize his name. So that's going to get that guy more exposure off the bat. They did that with Lyra Valkyrie. If I never can say her name right. But unfortunately, I'm having to start going to say Vince Russo was right, and I don't think she'll ever get over right now. But it was the right concept. You needed somebody to get somebody super talented over. You bring Becky Lynch down, get her over to try to get her over. That normally would have worked.
Yeah, and so I think there's a place for that. I just want to see some form of emphasis on Ring of Honor. I think there's more of a future there. It could have been, so instead of trying to sell a third, like, look, you just got rid of Rampage. Instead of trying to sell a third show of AEW, Ring of Honor would have probably been a better shot. I don't know. What do I know? I don't know. But look, maybe there's a whole deep dive into that somewhere, Myron, on our Patreon, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Remember, guys, we're doing the indie stuff now where we have the Tapped In show where we hit the highlights. The deep dives into Georgia wrestling is a free Patreon, so that's a big one. Plus all of the bonus stuff that we do over there. Some writings coming. But look, we get it. Some people are like right here. They're big fans here on YouTube. Tappedoutpod.com. Make sure you like the page, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications bell on so you get all of that stuff every single week as soon as they drop. But I'm telling you, you're missing out if you're not signed up at patreon.com/taptappod. Even for the free stuff, I think it's well worth every penny. But that's just me.
Amen, brother.
You like to, it's worth every penny and it's free.
Every penny. I like to save my pennies because I need to buy all these wrestling subscription services.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, we're gonna be out of pocket this weekend, so no shows this weekend. I know I mentioned that yesterday on the other shows, but so no shows this weekend for me. I'm speaking for me.
This weekend?
This weekend, there's no shows. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry. My calculator in my brain and my calendar are cross-referenced, so
yeah.
Sometimes it gets
so listen, fill the void of
if
I'm speaking for me. For me at those, go out to an indie show this weekend, go out to whatever, but make sure, again, now we will, January the 11th, because we are a national show, AEW's in town, Athens, Georgia, Aikens Ford Arena, they're in Athens. Check them out, AEW Collision, Saturday night. By the way, we heard, look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just taptapod@gmail.com, send the hate mail. I believe there's going to be a turnbuckle like showcase event there on the pre-show, so get there early. And make sure you check out what we've been hyping and pushing out there. So make sure you're checking them out. Look, new friend of the show.
New friends?
Jack Jamison and the Iron Savages will be there.
Oh, y'all are friends now. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we discussed that on yesterday's show.
Such horrible enemies for such a long time.
Look, sometimes, hey, we've learned over the weekend, the power of conversation can bring people together and work,
Power of love.
Yeah, exactly. So, check them out again, January 11th at Collision there in Athens at Aikens Ford Arena. That should be a blast show, and I think we will be at that one. That's our mission, is we're going to be at that one next Saturday. So I know that's a bummer for some shows that are running on the 11th, but we will absolutely see, because one of the big shows on the 11th isn't running now, so we'll see. Anything else before we get out of here, man?
No, man. I got to go get me some coffee and start the laxatives. I'm having a brain scan tomorrow. My doctor prescribed a lot of laxatives for some reason.
Have fun with that, man. Well,
Okay.
Well, if that's it, man, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.